Hi, guys. Welcome to Soul Connections. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbé, here broadcasting through Trinity Mystical Energy and Be Live TV, live through YouTube. So welcome. Soul Connections is a show, a broadcast of reconnecting with your spirit, with your higher self, and with that inner knowing that we all have. And lots of times our life gets so busy and so loud and chaotic that we have difficulty really reconnecting to listening to our authentic self and our truth and our intuition. And so today, as we do on Soul Connections, its theme is about reminding you how to reconnect. And we start off by doing a healing that grounds you into your spirit, reminds you how to check in, and it helps release any dis-ease or discomfort you've been having. Because we all have had some of that on some level, whether it's, physical pain, uh, or anxiety or stress, whatever that may be, it all can be broken down and broken apart when we feel more like ourselves. And, the circumstances of the last year definitely made it difficult to feel normal within our own skin, let alone in the world around us. So hello, everyone. And after we do the healing meditation, I will be pulling cards for people. So if you would like a reading to hear what kind of guidance your soul has for you for the next month or so, all you have to do is type in yes, please. So I'm very excited. Let's see who's in the house, Rob. I see Julie is here. Of course, she knows the drill. Of course, we're going to be able to pull a card for you. I'm excited. And let's see who else. Kimberly, hi. So happy you're here. I know that it's chaotic on a Sunday morning with little ones, so thank you for joining us. Glad to have you. And let's see who else is here, Rob. Sylvia, yes. And I think we have Taylor Flynn might be here too. I thought I saw her name. And Lisa, hello, Lisa. Glad to have you. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and
they're not coming to the studio the same way you see them on YouTube.
I think, okay, well, thanks, Brock. He's got the studio. I'll let him run the show, but I can see that Carol and Taylor Flynn are also both here. So don't worry, guys. We'll make sure to get to everyone after the meditation. So, this is a great time if something's been sort of churning in your life, or you're just feeling a little out of sorts, to just set a really clear intention with your spiritual team, with yourself, that, hey, I'd like to get a little guidance, a little clearing on this energy. Because when we ask our spiritual team, our angels and our guides for assistance, they can help us. And they're standing there waiting to do that. But most of the time we forget to ask. And I always think of, how good are we asking our two-legged human friends for assistance? And that's probably how good we are with our spiritual team. So it's a lesson in learning on how to be open and vulnerable to receiving. We're real great at giving to others, but we often say, oh, no, I'm fine. When we could use a helping hand. So don't forget to ask for whatever you need. All right, so we're going to start with the healing meditation and allow space for other people who are meant to join us to join us. All right. So let's take a couple of deep breaths. We're going to first welcome in the divine energy, however you perceive that. Whether you connect to the Holy Mother, the Holy Father, the Sacred Self, oneness, consciousness, all that is. Just reconnect and remember your personal inner guidance. And we ask the divine energy to surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light, creating a sphere of sacred space so that we feel safe, secure, and loved through our healing experience. And we set the intention that this healing and these readings and teachings are for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. And welcome in your spiritual team, your angels, your guides, your ancestors, the mystical creatures, the elementals, all divine, of the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to you and to us in this moment. And beginning at our crown, at the top of our head, just gently allowing the divine energy to connect to us and through us, helping release any energy around doubt and worry, loneliness, isolation, or separation that we've been feeling. Awakening the infinite possibilities that the divine can remind us how to activate, to cleanse, and restore in our own spiritual being. And moving into the third eye, releasing any thoughts or beliefs that have been compressing who we truly are. Squeezing us into a box that no longer fits or serves us. Expanding our perception so that we may see more clearly, and allowing us to communicate more easily with our team, our higher self, and our intuition. Grounding the energy so we can focus in the present moment, releasing the pull of the past and the future, and remind us about the presence of our being. And moving down into our throat, clearing our communication with others, with our spiritual team, and within our own body. Opening the ears to listen more fully and to be heard more completely. Opening up the space for the divine intervention and inspiration to activate within us. That aha knowing that we've been divinely guided. Clearing the words that have been said or received in fear, in anger, in hate, filling them with love, compassion, and forgiveness. Making space for our authentic truth to be spoken from our heart center. And our ways to express our creative being. Gently releasing any stress and tension and burdens that we've been holding in our shoulders and our neck. Allowing that heaviness to gently dissolve and slide off of us. At least for the moving into the heart and noticing any ways we have closed off our heart to receiving love and compassion from ourselves, from the divine, and even from each other. Allowing all disappointment and sadness to be held and honored and gently released. Making room for more love and joy. Calming the waters of grief that we may be carrying. And allowing the grief to flow with love and compassion for the humanness of that experience that we all have had. And opening the willingness for us to fully express an open heart filled with gratitude. Allowing our lungs and our heart to breathe and move the life force energy more fully, more deeply, and more completely through our body. So that our physical vehicle understands that we love and support it like the temple that it is. And moving down into the third chakra and lovingly noticing any fear, anxiety, worry, or stress that has been squeezing our life force, squeezing our inner sense of self. And breathing into the contracted energy. Making space for our inner desire, passion, and determination to be activated. releasing our anger, our hurt, and our fears in so many ways. Ways we've held it in judgment or resentment, righteous anger, denial of self and who we are. Allowing the inner sun to shine more brightly. And moving down to the second chakra, to all of our creative flow, our emotions, our expressions of our being through our beautiful feelings. And releasing all the ways we have constricted that self-expression through shame or blame, through repression, through avoidance, even numbing the feeling of our being. Gently reminding our body, our spirit, of the beauty of its feelings and emotions, how they guide us, restoring balance to all the water flowing in this body of ours. No longer creating mini dams to block ourselves, our love, our light in fear. And moving down into the root chakra, the foundation of who we are. Calming the fears that have been activated here or reactivated in this last year. Grounding us in our spiritual home, our self, our being, so that we may ground our physical home, our work, our money, our family, even our community. Allowing space for more safety and security and balance to come in, so that we are rooted in our physical life and our spiritual life equally. Our intellectual being and our creative knowing. For both are so essential in who we are. And reconnecting deeply within the earth realm to Grandmother Earth, the Divine Mother. asking her to compost and release all that no longer serves us, all that we are willing to let go. Allowing that energy to return to the original life force and creation energy that it is meant to be. And quietly receiving energy from her to fill us in this grounded new self of self. Feeling the energy as it moves up through our feet. Allowing us to walk more confidently in our being and our doing. Moving through the knees and reminding us of our adaptability and our flexibility when we are no longer stuck in a momentary freeze. Filling our root and our hips with calm serenity, and sharing that with our second chakra and our emotions. Allowing us to calm our adrenals, filling our sense of self-worth, self-esteem, allowing that confident and calm energy to spread, activating our courage to live our life fully. Releasing any pain that wants to linger. At the thought of simply being our true selves. Filling our hearts, our lungs, our shoulders, our arms, our hands with love and compassion so that we may give and receive more fully. Filling the throat with our truth of self-expression and ways to express all our creativity. Releasing any additional tension in our neck or our shoulders. Moving into our third eye. And allowing us clear sight, clear intuitive guidance, a balance of all of our senses to work together in harmony. filling our thoughts and our ideas with positivity and possibility. And reconnecting all of our energy with our crown and the divine above, so that the flow above and below is in balance. Reminding us that the center of the 4 directions, of the 6 directions, all centers within our heart of hearts. That central space of the transcendental heart that radiates out in the truth of our being. And now gently releasing any other areas in your body, like your back, where you may be feeling discomfort or dis-ease. Inviting the divine energy to break apart the stuckness so that your energy is back in full fluid movement. Releasing all restrictions and limitations that you have felt or experienced as no longer being true. And so it is. Gently bring your awareness back to your physical body, feeling your muscles and your tissues, your bones, your connection to what you're sitting on. Really release any energy from your neck and your shoulders. You might want to move your shoulders or your neck, gently breaking apart any last stuck energy. You might want to stretch or yawn, whatever you need to come back into the present moment. Rub your hands or your feet together. Yummy. I love starting my day with a deep connection and clearing. It always is such a wonderful reminder of who we are. And so for most of you know the drill. You've been here. You've been wanting this. I've been wanting this. It's a practice that was very much a part of my physical space. And in the physical space, coffee and Polly Jo. Yes, the coffee place here is called Aroma Joe's. And so it's AJ's with PJ, is what my husband says. So yes, it's the same sensation. And I like that because I do think it's, what a great way to start the day. And, when I was having the healing temple in my physical space before we moved, we would have a healing meditation once a week, and we would have pull cards so that people could get guidance. And, Soul Connections was born out of that. And it was fantastic. I loved doing the show. But once a week got to be a bit much on my schedule, especially during the pandemic. So Rob and I had a little chat because I wanted to bring it back. And so we're going to start once a month to do that and see how the energy flows and see what comes of it. And so you guys are here for the first time. And so Soul Connections will be back. So if you would like a card reading now, all you have to do is type in yes, please. And Rob will bring them up in the order that they show up in the production studio. So I'm going to get out of my own personal head. And if for some reason you get lost, type it in again later, but give us a little time to work through, and I will do that.
They did finally come into the production studio, but I've actually been pulling them out of the YouTube just to make sure.
Okay, fantastic. I'm not surprised. Rob's on top of it. All right, so Rob, let's get started. Who's our first person? All right, Julie. Thought you might be first. So Julie, fantastic card. So your card is the Two of Trees. And the Two of Trees have, so much wood in them. They have so much balance. And the Two of Trees is all about, even trees have flexibility. They're rooted, they're solid, but they move with the wind. They move with circumstances. They're grounded, they're rooted, but to adapt to change that's moving around them. So what I'm hearing for you is that as you are putting down your new roots, you can still be flexible about how you want that to look and how you want your life to be. Most of us were in this space of, trying to recreate what was normal. And actually what we were being guided to do was throw away what was normal and start again. And so just because we've always done something doesn't mean we should. We might have been doing it out of habit. So really ground what's important to you in this time that's coming up, and be open and flexible to releasing things that maybe aren't. And that comes too in relationships, right? That we listen to each other's needs. It's not just all about one person. It's about what does the group need, and being willing to be flexible on the things that really aren't that important to us, but maybe are to someone else. So really continue working on staying grounded and rooted for yourself, but be willing to sway with the winds of change. All right, there you go, sweetie. Oh, and I didn't tell you guys, the deck we're using is the Art of Love Tarot deck. The artwork's by Tony Carmen Salerno, who's one of my favorites. And Denise Jarvie is the one who worked on the content. So that's who we've got today. So who is next, Rob? Taylor. Hi, Taylor. Nice to have you. So your card is one of our soul cards. It's the Moon. And when the Moon card comes in, the essence of this card is about illuminating things in our life that have seemed dark, but really they've been an illusion. So what your soul is working on is all of the drama. And I know you know that. And lighting it up to show you what's real and what isn't real. Because things are scary in the dark. But when we shine a light on it, we realize it's just a shadow of something that we actually love. And that's how our life is when things are kind of scary or fearful. It's often just the shadow of something more positive. So it's the working with our shadow and bringing love and light to it and saying, we don't have to be so reactive or overreactive. We can understand when our inner child gets nervous and scared by something new. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole with it. We can be like, okay, I get that you're scared, and wrap this loving blanket and do it anyways. I'm seeing Piglet. Piglet, always was scared of the big adventures that they were going to do, and he would be shaking and nervous. But somehow he always went and did it anyways because of the strength of the energy around. And the energy around can be our friends, but they can also be our spiritual team. knowing that we're being led and guided, and that it's okay for some things to seem scary. But remember that a lot of that is a personal illusion. And look for ways you can shine the light into those spots. Thank you, Taylor. That was a great message for all of us. I think we all have had those moments. So fantastic. All right, who do we have? Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Nice to have you here. Nice. So your card is 7 of choices. 7 of hearts, which is all about choices. My team is like 7 choices. So I don't know if a lot is going on for you choice-wise. I know you've been thinking about moving and whatnot and selling your house. So what I'm seeing about this card for you is that, you know, there are choices that are coming up. And in our intellectual brain, we get really caught up in the right and the wrong of things. And what I'm getting for you is, in a lot of this, there is no real right or wrong. It's where are you willing to take the leap of making a choice? Because sometimes we make no choice at all because we're worried about making the wrong choice. But you and I both know that we choose, and even if we choose, you know, a way that may seem more difficult, Spirit sends us the next choice so that we can realign. We're never stuck down the wrong path. There's always forks in the road for us to choose. It's part of why we have free will. And it's the creative path of creating our own life. But I will tell you, if something's been calling to you, that's the choice. The easy way is usually the hardest. The way that seems like, oh gosh, this is going to be terrible, and you know, but you can't get it out of your head. That's often a really good indicator. So I don't know whether this has to do with work or with moving or whatever, and maybe it is 7 choices that are coming up for you. There's no wrong choice. It's maybe even attaching that playful child and energy to making a choice. You know, like, okay, today I'm going to wear blue. It doesn't mean you'll never wear red again. It just means today I'm going to wear blue. And the next day there'll be another choice. So kids don't get caught up in that. Generally, they don't get caught up in the what if I make the wrong choice. It's when we program them to be worried about that shows up. So maybe call in your inner child to help you with the choosing, and check into your body and feel where the choices are coming from, because maybe that'll give you some guidance. Nice to have you. All right, who else is next? Kimberly. Yep, you and I talked about this recently. So this is the 6 of hearts, which is about the past. And I'm really drawn to the pentacle, the star on her forehead. And so right now you are really working on clearing up your past. And past can be this lifetime. I'm feeling a lot of past life clearing happening for you right now as well. Maybe some concepts about, you know, witches or pagan energy, you know, that we may have had in another lifetime. There was an interesting energy that came up recently where someone was posting about, you know, why were we created to fear the witches so much when we should have been afraid of the people who were burning them and judging them, right? We put our fear or our energy maybe in the wrong direction. So the energy that I've experienced around the past clearings are forgiving yourself for both sides of any equation that you may have been on. whether you were the persecutor or the persecutee, to release victim consciousness from our energy and from our system, we have to own the fact that we have most likely been both, and that we hold the possibilities of being both within us. And we're choosing with our free will not to be that in this lifetime, but knowing that it's possible for anyone to go down that road, and just loving that that possibility is out there, but loving ourselves for the choosing not to. Does that make sense? So have fun with that. I'll see you next weekend. We'll move a lot of that for you. All right. Thanks, dear. Let's see. Lisa, so glad you're here. Yeah, this has been big. So this is the 10 of stars. And in this deck, it talks about the 10 of stars as hoarding. But what I'm seeing more for you is the carrying of burdens. You know, lots of times we just carry the burdens of our family and ourselves, and we feel weighted down. So that's the hoarding that the energy is talking about, like holding on to too much that is not yours. Now, whether that's physically, like, hey, go through and clean your closet because you'll feel lighter and brighter, or clean your desk, it can be that. But lots of times it's a, you know, we think we're helping our children by, you know, taking on their burdens and responsibilities, or we we say yes to too many things, and so then we're left feeling overwhelmed and overdone, all because we didn't say no when we really wanted to. That's us holding too much energy that's not meant for us. So as you go through this next month, you know, see what energy, what ideas, what commitments, what things you can shed. And it doesn't have to be a lot to create some movement. Every few days I go through my workspace, my house, and I see what's not in its place. So if I have, like right now, I'm like, oh, time to do it again on my desk. If I have like piles of papers that are just sort of stacked randomly, they're not, and those papers aren't where they belong. And whether they belong in the shred pile, if they belong in the recycling, if they belong in a book somewhere or written down in something else more grounded, that's clearing up clutter that I'm holding on to. And it can be as simple as, like, you know, shredding receipts that you don't need. And I try to do 33 items that I put away at a time. And it may sound like a lot, but when you're talking like pieces of paper, it can be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything major. And if that seems too daunting, pick 10 things to put away. And that can include your laundry that's in the basket. Because when it's not in its home, it's taking up your energetic space. So when those socks aren't in the sock drawer, it's distracting your energy flow. So try that, and that may help get some movement for you in some things that you're looking for. It helps me. All right. Let's see who else is there. Rob? Carol, nice to have you. So your card is the 8 of Trees. And the 8 of Trees is about, I see that like vortex in between the trees. I always see the spiral as a lot of goddess energy. And this talks about skill. And what the energy is about is that you've been working really hard on mastering some aspect of your life. We often go through periods where we're the student and then we become the teacher. And really, we're always the student, right? We're always learning more, we're always expanding more, but there comes a point in time when we have enough knowledge that it's time to put that knowledge to use in some way. Whether, I'm seeing it from my perspective at the moment. So that is like learning some new skills, and then having enough to be able to teach a class to help others learn what I've learned. Or I work with my clients on what I have learned so that they can learn to start to master that as well. And in that master role, in that teacher role, you actually only need to know more than your students. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than they do, because you're just imparting their wisdom. When people are parents, yeah, we freak out about whether we're going to be a good parent. But when it comes down to basic things like, teaching somebody how to put their socks on or their shoes on, we know that. We've mastered it. We know enough to be able to teach somebody else how to do it. So we're that step ahead that we need to be to help them. And as we're growing and our kids are growing, we stay one step ahead most of the time. Yeah, there's certain subjects where it's like, okay, I don't know about that science class anymore. But then they have another teacher, right? There's always a teacher present for each student. And when it's time for you to be the teacher, the students appear. So it's time to use your skills, get it out there. And if you're more of a physical artist or that type of thing, it means you've created art. Now it's time to share it with others so that they can honor your skill. Because part of it is being honored for what we've learned and how we can bring that learning out into the planet. There you go, sweetie. Hope that helps. All right, Rob, who's next? Ellen, I'm glad you remembered. This is a great card for you, sweetie. So it's the Four of Trees. And the Four of Trees are about growth, about, grounding in our heart space, and really being able to grow from that. And in that Four of Trees, there's often this sense of when we're grounded in our heart, we feel home. So it's like there's no more wanting something else. We're really happy right where we are. And when we root and we grow right where we are, then the happiness flourishes. It's when we're comparing the present moment to our past or to what could possibly be that we don't get to experience the fullness of our joy because we're not here. So think about how you can kind of root that beautiful heart of yours and allow whatever wants to flourish and grow to grow. And not attaching any commitment to the outcome. Because when we plant, a bulb in the garden and we're hovering over it, we might overwater it, we're worried about the sun, and then we're telling it what color we want it to be. How good is that bulb going to grow? But when we just fill it with we put it in and we send it love energy and we put nutrients in the soil and we're just bloom, I'm going to be so happy to see you bloom, however or whatever you bloom as. Then we're just in joy. And I'm seeing the garden because I know you garden, but also because, when we moved here, there's garden, there's plantings and gardens, and I have no idea what they are. So every day it's a walk outside to see what that thing turned into. It's ooh, that's, ooh, I like that. Ooh, that's, and they're presents every day. So when we're grounded and rooted in that heart center and we just allow whatever in our life to flourish, it's exciting and it's joyful. So allow that to take space. Love it. All right. How we doing, Rob? I think there's Spike. All right. Hello. So this is called the turnaround. The numbered cards are about what your soul is working on. So this is what your soul is working on in your spiritual lessons. And the turnaround, it says revolution, but I'm not really feeling that aspect. It's that time when we look at what's going on and inside of us and outside of us, and we realize that there's certain stuff that we just don't agree with. And we decide to kind of rebel against that. And we're like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, or I'm not going to support people who do that. It's setting boundaries around what you feel, boundaries around what is right and wrong for you, not in a judgment way, but in a morality way. Like if something hurts your soul or your heart, then you eliminate that energy from your life. It's like it's time to turn part of your life around, is what I'm getting. That maybe you've been heading down a path that somebody else set for you. That happens all the time. Your parents want you to be a doctor, and so you're headed down the doctor path, and it never occurred to you to go, what do I really want to be? Until you're like knee deep in doctoring going, I hate this. What's going on? And other people would see the turnaround as coming out of nowhere, but you've been feeling that disconnect and that discomfort for a while. So whatever is really just not working for you, it's part of your soul's lesson on how to turn that around now. How do you choose you? How do you choose what you love, what you want? And yeah, some other people might not be happy about it because they have a vision of who you are that doesn't match who you really want to be or who you are inside. And we don't have to pretend for people that we're something we're not. That's when we have the most dissatisfaction, the most depression, when we're just trying to be something we really aren't. And it really goes against what our spirit wants to express. So maybe take some time to journal about, if money weren't an option, if money didn't matter, what would you do, and who would you be, and where would you live? And maybe one of those things is something that you could head in that direction. We always think why we can't, but it's a lot harder to think about, okay, that's where I'm going. How do I get there? And it can be baby steps, but those steps feel liberating every single one you take. I knew I was moving to Maine. It's been calling me for a long time. So a couple of years ago, I started purging things from my house. Would I move this when I moved to Maine? And it was like, no. And if I wasn't thinking about moving it to Maine, it went. And I just started clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing. So that when we did our big move, I still did more, but it wasn't as overwhelming as it might have been. So just start in the right direction of where you want to be. And know that your spiritual team is there and supporting you in so many ways. There's so many magical opportunities that are right there waiting. All right. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Let's see. Chris. All right. So your card is the King of Trees. And the King of Trees is, it has a lot, it says the architect on it. And I agree with that to some degree. What I'm sensing for you is that it's very similar to Spike. It's you are the architect of your life. You are the creator. What are you creating and how are you creating it? Are you letting life happen to you, or are you finding ways to have life happen for you? And it's such a subtle difference, but it is one that is so difficult. And one of the indicators is when we blame other people or we blame other things for what's happening in our life. When we're in blame, then life is happening to us. When we're like, I don't like this, how can I change it? Then we're the architect, we're the magician. We're the one who can wave the wand and go, time for something new. And the king energy is very much connected to the masculine divine. And the masculine divine is more about doing. So what steps can you take to recreate the life that you want? And again, as with Spike, like, what can you let go of that does not serve you? You know, would you pick this thing in your life if you were writing it? Would this thing be in an edit? Or would it be a juicy part of the story that you want to keep? And maybe think about that as you're having those choices appear, because we have choices every single day. And does this feel in alignment with what I want and how I want to do it? So hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching. All right, let's see. Carrie, nice to have you, Carrie. Yep, I had this one earlier. So the Four of Angels is about rest. Sometimes as humans, we're really terrible at rest. But lots of times when our energy is overstimulated, you know, there's been so much swirling around us that we need to get really quiet for all of the insignificant things to fall away. And you know, our body cannot restore and repair itself without enough rest and enough sleep. And, you know, sometimes people, you know, we get this card and we're like, well, I'm sleeping at night. It's like, yeah, but maybe you're not having enough quiet time where you're not having to think and not having to do. So how can you build some rest and some quiet into your life? You know, maybe it's 5 minutes of just, you know, hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just breathing so that you feel connected to yourself and your spirit. Maybe doing it in the morning, maybe doing it in the afternoon when you get stressed out, or maybe doing it before bed, or maybe you turn your electronics off like an hour earlier than normal so that your body can release all the stimulation that comes from all the information that bombards us. And, you know, with, you know, where I am, you know, in the summer weather, it's like, just for me, being able to sit outside and have my cup of coffee in the morning, it's meditative. And it gives myself a sense of rest, you know, and I can do that. I'll eat my lunch that way because I'm more mindful of how I eat. So it's less frantic and I'm not thinking about the next thing to do. I'm just in the air, in the groundedness. Hopefully I'm in the sunshine. And when I have all of those things, I'm fully present. And that allows my body to rest and it anchors my spirit. So see how you can bring that in. That would be great. We all can use that. So thank you. Thank you for getting that message. All right. Living Your Soul's Dream. All right. I love that title. So your card is the Three of Angels. And, it says clarification here. And what I'm seeing is that, there's a number of things that have been going on that are, still in process. There's a lot of moving parts, as we would say. And so in that place of clarity, it's like, remember to be centered and quiet. When we're quiet, our inner guidance can come in. We can breathe in spirit and allow inspiration to drop into our being. And that's when we're like, oh, that's what's going on. But our intellect, our brain, tries to figure it out. But our intellect can only figure out what it has already experienced. So it's not open to infinite possibilities. It is restricted to what it already knows. So when we want something more magical than what we've ever experienced to come in, we have to allow space for spirit to bring us that clarity. And again, I feel that for you, that's having a little more time being quiet and actually taking time to listen. And when we learn how to listen to spirit, you'll also notice that communication difficulty that you might be having with other people starts to get better because you learn to listen to you. How we do one thing is how we do all things. And so if we're having difficulty getting clarity on, like, say, our business, then notice other areas of your life where you need clarity as well. And they're going to, all of them could use you being fully present in the moment. So there's space for the clarity to come through. And it's a tough one, but it's so magical when it happens. I had a moment of it this morning before we came on where it was like, oh, right. That's what I need to do. And this will be so easy. So good luck with that, sweetie. All right, let's see. Constance, hi, nice to have you. So your card, dear, is the Seven of Angels. And the Seven of Angels is about progress. It's like you've been walking the path. And, sometimes when we're walking the path and we can't see where we've been, where we've come from, and we can't see where we're going, it can feel like we haven't gotten anywhere. But if we were able to go up to a bird's eye view, we could see how far we've come. And so you've been making some beautiful, gentle progress, and more's to come. And don't get caught up in what you haven't done. Really realign in the joy of, like, how much you did get done. I had a wonderful teacher who, when I had lots of big projects and it was hard to see that there was any movement, she used to have me take a jar of, you could use marbles or I use the little sea glass pieces, not the sharp ones, but the rounded ones. And every time I accomplish something in a day, I put it in the jar. So it goes from this big container of all that I need to do, and as you take it out, you start to fill a container of all that I've done. And you focus on all that I've done. And it allows you to see that you've gotten somewhere even when you didn't realize it. And that can be huge as part of our seeing the progress, feeling the progress. But just remember, your team is like saying, hey, you've been plugging along on the path, and keep going. You're getting a lot done and getting a lot of energy to move forward. So thank you. Nice to have you, Connie. Oh, of course, Rob. Rob and I have this "What'd you know, Polly Jo?" That's something that started a while ago and it always makes me smile. So his card, no surprise, is the Knight of Stars. So the Knight of Stars is really the energy that is coming in for you to really be a little more adventurous. Be more the, try new things and put yourself out there. And I know you've got some of that energy coming up where you're doing some, a new class that you had wanted to take, and just really embracing that spirit of change from the adventurer. It's the knight on an exploration, a quest. And it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So it's similar to Connie, which is always so cool at all the similarities between readings. So Connie's is about that slow and steady progress, and yours is about embrace the adventurous journey. It's like you need to get on. She's taken that nice, slow, beautiful, garden filled path. She did all the hard work. She's like on that, almost like the labyrinth, loving energy. You're like, all right, time to get going. Get on the horse and get riding, and get some big movement going. You with your creative spirit, actually. It's really going to open some pockets of creativity for you, and it'll help you find some ways to eliminate things that you're not really happy with in your life. Maybe shifting how you do your work or something like that. And some of that's boundaries. We've talked about that. But I'm feeling like, yeah, you just need some fun and adventure. Travel and experience that can like feed some part of your soul. We all have that, where we need to fill that creative piece of ourselves, and sometimes that's like getting out and just experiencing life more fully. So there you go. So I'm assuming that that's the last card. Yes. So thank you guys. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that this resonated for most of you, and I'm really happy. Oh, the energy was like a roto-rooter going through my body. Yes, it can totally feel like that. My husband, the years of being the plumber, snaking those drains. And sometimes that's the way, right, to get out our clogs, is to really like go in there. But then it's about maintaining it. So remember that this is very much available to you now that we've done it. The recording will be here anytime you need that roto-rooter. Remember to go back to our channel, Trinity Mystical Energy, and click on any of the soul connections. They all start with that deep cleaning and deep clearing to help you reconnect and re-inspire your life in a new way, because that's what it is. When we connect to our soul, we remember that we are the magicians in our life, and that magic happens from us, and we don't have to wait for it to happen to us. So with that, you guys, thank you. We'll see you sometime next month. Subscribe to the Trinity Mystical Energy YouTube channel to find out more when we're going to be here. And always check out our Chakra Sessions show as well, because we do all things energy and healing as well. So see you guys soon, and have a great one. Thanks, Rob, for co-piloting. Bye.